Welcome to the second of our August series, Qigong for the Heart during turbulent times. I would love to just start before we actually begin to move. If you would, for those of you particularly who were here last week, if you practiced anything this week, if you would just put it in the chat. And if you're new to this group or you're new to coming into the Qigong series, then just maybe say where you're calling in from and what you're walking in with. Hi, Allison, so good to see you. So just again, if you practiced something this week, what did you practice? If you didn't practice, you can say that it's okay, no shame, no problem. We're just going to sort of start to instill a little bit of a way of how can we create a discipline that allows us to be disciples of ourselves as opposed to being hardcore, you have to do stuff, but to be able to start to work with some of these simpler Qi practices to really be able to sustain a sense of being centered and grounded no matter what kinds of things are going on. Because like I said, these are turbulent times. This is the season of the heart. So the heart can feel agitated at this time of year. It can feel impatient, or it can feel more extreme emotions. So we want to really be able to, and it's not that we don't want to have those emotions. Emotions are all good. But how can we really stay centered and grounded so that when we're communicating with others and communicating to ourselves, it's from that place of really feeling grounded and connected to self. So Sherry, good. 6 direction breathing. We're going to do a little bit of that today with our practice. That's great. Annie, let's see. I'm going to open this chat. Oh, pump and center of the cyclone. That's good. I call it eye of the storm, but center of the cyclone is good, Fred. I love it. Conscious breathing, Harriet. Oh, it's really, really, I think about that sort of a bottom line thing of what can really bring us back to feeling focused. Long, even breath with a focus on the cobra. Wonderful, Rosie. Thank you. Hip circles and got your back uncaked. Yay for you, Annie, and did the pump to get you moving better. Good. Pump is a great way to release old stuck energy. Welcome, Allison. And standing in the dirt barefoot and breathing. You got it, girl. That's the Qigong. That is the Qigong. Good. I'm glad that it was helpful, Phyllis, to work with last week's recording. I'm always delighted when I hear from people that they actually watch the recordings. I was like, oh, good. I'm so glad. Eye of the storm is important. It is important. Pebble and Lake, 6 direction breathing. That's a good combination, Marcia. Spontaneous shaking up to 7 minutes. Wow, that's a great way to get movement going. Really, really good. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. Welcome, Simbwala, I think you just joined, and Karen, welcome back to y'all. And let's go ahead and start. Stand up if you would. You're welcome to keep your video on or off. If you have it on, I get to see, which I always really love. But you should feel, the main thing is that I want you to feel comfortable with being able to do whatever you want to do as we go through these practices. So we're going to start with our feet apart, and we're going to soften the knees. And the first thing that I want you to do today is to really let that sense of that tailbone hang. Okay, so a lot of times when people, when we're in this time, particularly in the August season, as we're shifting into the fall, there can be a lot of tension that happens in the lower back. And the lower back a lot of times has to do with the weight that we're carrying, or not physical weight, but the emotional or the weight of obligations in your lower back. So you want to have a sense that as you drop the tailbone, it's a sense of just releasing what you might be carrying that might not even be yours in terms of needing to take responsibility. Not that we're dropping our responsibilities, but we're dropping the weight or that sense of feeling victimized in any way. So drop the tailbone down, lift the crown of your head up. And what I'd like you to do is to think of your chin going down and back. So it's going up in this direction on a diagonal, going up towards the back of your head. And what that does is it lengthens your neck. That connects the mind and the heart, basically. It's the channel that brings the mind-heart together. So we're going to lift the crown of the head by bringing the chin back and up a little bit. And it should feel lengthened. And then we're going to drop those shoulders down and tailbone down to the ground like a big kangaroo's tail. So let's go ahead, and from that posture, we'll go ahead and do our hip circles. And I think most of you, I don't think there's anyone who's brand new to this work today. So, but if there is somebody and I somehow missed you and you have a question at any point, you can just put a question in the chat and I'll get to it as soon as I see it. Let's go around in the other direction. The other thing you can do is you can always unmute yourself and just call out the question. I love being interrupted with questions. It's not an issue, so please feel free. The main thing is that this needs to work for you. Okay, so change again, the other direction. And this again, this is one of the best things that you can do. If you could remember nothing else this week, but to do this, especially if you're spending a lot of time in front of a screen, which so many of us need to right now, make sure that you get up so that you have this sense that let's go ahead and switch directions, that your hip sockets are really lubricating over the tops of your thigh bones so that there's a sense of ease of movement. And of course, like Annie mentioned, this is a really good way to release the lower back as well and release some of those, again, burdens that we might be carrying. Okay, feet hip distance apart. And we're gonna lift the toes up off the floor, spread them out, sort of like animal paws, and then put them down again. And we'll go ahead and circle the shoulders. So we're doing a very basic warm up, pretty similar to, I vary them a little bit, but I kind of wanna get the basic kinks out so that we can go ahead and move some chi. And then hands on the shoulders, we're gonna circle those elbows, big full circle. So your shoulder blades are moving apart as your elbows come forward and squeezing together as your elbows go back. Want to really focus on that space between the shoulder blades. So for those of you who haven't heard me talk about this before, this is we're working with the cobra and the lamb with this, right? The cobra being the spine that's between the shoulder blades. It has to do with your passion, your conviction, your commitment. So whether that commitment has to do with social justice or artistic expression or anything else, of family, grandchildren, anything that matters to you, this is what, when we're pumping energy this way, we're allowing that sense of passion and compassion to become more illuminated and more activated. Okay, so good. And we're going to go ahead and stroke one arm back than the other, just like a backstroke when you're swimming. And follow your hand with your eyes. So your eyes are moving inside of the eye socket. This is going to help release the cilia muscle, the focusing muscles of the eyes. And on a metaphoric sense, it also helps us bring our focus with more intention to whatever it is that we're needing to create for ourselves or our world, our communities right now. Okay, so hands come up, bend your elbows, round your back, squeeze round, really bring that tailbone forward and curl the top of the head down and then open way, way out. So again, this is working through that cobra in the back between the shoulder blades. And then the other aspect of the heart is the lamb, which has to do with our sense of interconnectedness, or our, as Thich Nhat Hanh always said, interbeing. I love that phrase. So that sense of we are one with the universe, or we are one with other beings here on this planet, that there's a sense of interconnectedness, that sort of butterfly effect. What we do affects, has a ripple effect. So that lamb is that sense of love and connection, and then the cobra in your back has to do with your conviction, with your promise to yourself, with the ways in which we make commitments to things that really matter to us. All right, and then we're going to bring the hands to the legs, flat back position. If you're in a wheelchair, on a scooter, again, you're going to just lean forward from your tailbone. If you're standing, you can just go ahead and come to as low a flat back as is right for you. So for some of us, it'll be low. For others of us, you might feel like you need to stay up higher. Pick what feels right. And then round your back, belly button pulls up towards your spine. And so again, we're opening up that cobra, opening up between the shoulders. And then we're gonna let the spine hang like a hammock and look up towards the ceiling. So you're rounding as you look down and then looking up as you arch your back. And I turn every now and then from side to side just so you can see me better. You don't need to do that. And then round your back and arch and round and arch and roll up through your back, inhaling up and exhaling, bring your arms back behind you, lace your fingers, squeeze your shoulders together, soften your knees, drop your tailbone again, lift your chin this time, and pull your hands, your knuckles down towards your heels. And take a deep breath as you exhale, bring your hands over to one side, back to center, and then over to the other side, and back to center. So we're turning slightly in the waist and starting to activate the chi in the waist, the axis of our chi here, and come to center. Then lace your fingers, palms forward, upper back, way, way back, shoulders down, and turn from side to side. Easy turning side to side, relaxing your jaw, relaxing the space between the eyebrows. And then come back to center and bring your arms down. Let's stretch the neck, head to one side, deep breath. Exhale, bring that opposite shoulder down. And inhale, release. Exhale, pull down. And inhale, release. Exhale, pull down. Reach out through the little finger, fourth finger, middle, index, thumb, and rotate your arm. And then turn your head to look down at the ground. And then back to the center. And then look up. And back to center. Let's do that 2 more times. So down, center, up, center, down, center, and up, and center. This time I'm going to look down and just look at that hand that's hanging there. Take your hand and just very lightly place it on the back of your head. Don't push, don't tug, just let your weight of your arm rest in this way. And then bring your head to center. Soften your knees, point your elbows towards your knees. Roll up, arms come out, and over to the second side. Deep breath. As you exhale, bring that shoulder down. Inhale, release. Exhale, down. Inhale, release. Exhale, down. Reach out through your little finger, fourth finger, middle, index, thumb, and rotate. And then turn your head to look down at the ground. Bring your chin down towards the collarbone. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, just sink a little bit. Bring that back shoulder back and down. And let's turn that head to look up towards the ceiling. Come to center and look down. 2 more times. Going through the center. Look up, center, and down. 1 more time. Looking up. And then looking down, bring your head to center, tapping up and down the back of your neck. So you're just really stimulating those points on the back of the neck. Just tap fairly vigorously and then go to the tops of the shoulders with those fingertips. Let's really give our neck and shoulders a little extra love because, again, those of us who are sitting in front of a screen more than we would normally have done before, well, 5 months ago, you want to really keep this you want to have the blood flow going pretty consistently on this upper back and neck. Again, head down. And this time we're going to tap underneath the occiput. Then put one hand on the back of your head, other hand on the back of your neck. Squeeze your neck. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze tight, like you're picking up a kitten by the scruff of her neck. To pull your scruff back and then release. So exhale, squeeze and release. 1 more time, squeeze and release. Put your hands on the 2 sides of your head. Gently push your head towards one hand and then release. Then the other hand and then release and shake it out. And so we're going to just take a moment to do some shaking practice. We're just going to shake shoulders, neck, head, anything that you want to. Shake your hips. Breathe as you do this practice. Keep shaking. And just imagine what you're doing is you're just shaking out of your body anything that feels like it's stagnant or stuck. Now, if you're feeling agitated and upset and anxious, do this very gently. You still want to have a sense of getting that pump moving through your body with the shake, but you don't necessarily have to go into a very frenetic move. On the other hand, if you're feeling like you're a little tired, you're a little stagnant, go ahead and shake that off. And as you shake, I'd like you to just take a moment to notice where in your body you might feel any tension or tightness. Just notice wherever that might be. It's not that you need to shake it out. I just want you to take a moment to notice. Then rub your hands together till your palms start to get warm. And I'd like you just to put your hand on any part of your body that feels like it could use a little extra attention. So it could be anywhere. And you can go to more than one place. So if you take a moment at one place and then you can move to another one. So just feel free to move to wherever it is that you feel like, I just want to give myself a little chi bath here. Focusing on the palm of your hand. Where your fist, if you were to make a fist where the middle finger and the fourth finger come together, the point right between those is called the Laogong point. And Laogong point is basically where we also, for those people, I know there are a lot of energy healers here. When you want to do healing, a lot of times that's concentrated in the palm of the hand, or I guess also where the stigmata were, I don't know. But it's a place of energy going out and coming in. So it's a sense here of really being able to give and receive through those palms. So those, I want to focus on those points when you're putting them on different parts of your body. Okay, so given that this is, when I'm sort of thinking about Qigong for the heart during turbulent times, I want to do a little bit of work to foster resilience. And one of the, I think one of the things I love about Qigong, it's really based on observing nature. So for any of you who've ever had a chance to watch bamboo move in a wind, I want to start to cultivate a little bit about bamboo in that sense of flexible, tensile strength. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to bring your feet so they're not quite hip distance apart, but they're not quite fully together either. So, and again, if you're sitting in a chair or on a scooter, then just, again, bring your feet so that they're not quite hip distance, a little bit closer together and ground to your sits bones on your seat, okay? And you can do that if you're seated, you're gonna focus on your sits bones connected to whatever surface you're sitting on, and if you're standing, you're gonna focus on the ball of your big toe, the ball of your little toe, and your heel, and you're gonna place your weight so it's just evenly distributed between those 3 points. There's actually 9 points that it's good to focus on, but we're going to just focus on the main 3 here. All right. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine that you are bamboo. And I'd like you to imagine that a wind starts to come. And you're going to, you might even want to close your eyes for this. I don't want you to imitate me. I want you to feel you. So what I'd like you to do is just to see if you can feel like your feet are firmly rooted in the ground, but your body is moving with, let's say there's winds and breezes going back and forth in all kinds of directions. So I'd like you just to explore keeping your feet rooted, keeping those 3 points on the bottom of each foot connected to whatever surface you're standing on. I'd like you to just move around. You might soften the knees a little bit so you maintain a sense of connection to the earth, almost like you're in sand up to your knees, okay? Just so that your knees, your bottom of your legs are very, very firm in the ground. And you're gonna just let yourself move, okay? And so as you move, I'd like to just have a sense of really being very, very grounded through your feet. And you can let your arms go. Those of you who are more dancer types, I know some of you here are real movement people. You can let yourself become as big and full as you want to. Or one of these little, things that my mom used to love so much that get blown in the wind. There are those balloon people that are for ads, you know, that get kind of move. However you want to move, it doesn't matter. It can be silly, it can be fun, it can be releasing, whatever you want to do. But the sense is, again, from the knees down into the earth is very, very solid, but the rest of your body can just flow. And again, you don't have to be extreme. If you want to stay very subtle with this, you like just honor what your own boundary is about it. Okay, but the main thing is to see if you can play a little bit with, even though you're rooted through both feet, you can play a little bit with the shifting of weight and allowing yourself to be moved in whatever ways you are. Okay? So that we have the sense that we can really move in response to different stimulus that happens, but never lose that sense of grounding. It's a practice that your body is reminding you you're very capable of doing. And let's go a little bit bigger if you haven't already. Just a little bit bigger, just stretch yourself a little bit, and it should feel like it's releasing, not forced, just releasing through your body. And then finish by bringing your hands to your lower abdomen and just breathe. Focus on your feet and focus on the crown of the head. Let's again bring the chin down and up on a high diagonal so that you're, as though you're lifting your chin up towards the upper back of your head, so that you have that sense of your neck getting long like a giraffe. The back of the neck is long, the front of the throat is relaxed. And let's just do a moment of focusing on 6-direction breathing, beginning with breathing with a sense of lengthening through your solar plexus as you inhale and then releasing as you exhale. So get long as you inhale in your solar plexus and then exhale. And again, long and exhale, so that all that bamboo movement can just start to circulate through your breath. Let's go widthwise now. So you're expanding your ribs as you inhale and then release as you exhale. And again, in and out. And in and out. Relax your jaw, relax the space between your eyebrows, and let's work forward and back now. So you're letting your belly and solar plexus expand forward, and also breathing into your back. Let your back get wide, so you're breathing this way, okay? So inhaling and exhaling. And in and out. One more time, in and out. And staying grounded, bringing your sits bones down to your heels. I'd like you just to move now from your hips up. So those of us who are in chairs, you were already doing this with the bamboo, but for those of you who are standing, I'd like you also just to explore what your waist could do. So we're now just really still from the hips down. You might find yourself shifting weight a little bit from hip to hip or foot to foot, but really letting it move from the waist up. And then just come to center. I'm going to change the image a little bit, like you're a piece of seaweed that's planted at the bottom of the ocean, and your roots are from your waist down, so your belly and your hips and your legs and your feet are way deep in the deep, dark sand. And then here with the upper body, we're just letting that upper body move with the currents. We move from bamboo into seaweed. It's still a sense of flexibility and rootedness happening at the same time. Okay, good, and come to center. And bring your hands up to your heart center. So the next thing I'd like to do is we are moving from summer into autumn. So in the Chinese calendar, we have already started that shift. And several of you have reported to me that you've been feeling loss and grief, whether that's loss about what your former life was like, or grief around loss of people in your life, or loss of connections, or loss of being able to be physically with one another in the ways in which we have used to be. To take a moment to let that grief be in your lungs, because this is the season of the lungs, is the fall, the autumn. We're moving from the heart into the lungs. And one of the things that I really love about this connection is that they say when you move energy with your breath through your lungs, you're bringing in courage. You're changing grief into courage. And the heart the origin of the heart in French, courage, goes from heart to courage. So if I'm the heart to have the courage to be with whatever we're letting go of. So this I'll be talking about more. I'm going to be doing an autumn webinar for autumn equinox. But for right now, what I'd like to do is just start to pay attention to the lungs a little bit. So we're moving from the heart. We'll be going through the earth element at the end, very end of this series in summer, which is the earth element, and then it moves into metal. So what I'd like to do for now is I'd like you to cross your arms and wrists rather, and place your middle fingers on your collarbone. So let's just tap the collarbones for a second with your middle fingers. Then move your fingers down below the collarbones. Okay, good. And then press your fingers in, and you'll see that there are hollows there. Those are the lung 1 points, or the lung entry points. So I want to just circle a few times in one direction into those lung 1 points, just giving, and the middle finger, by the way, is the heart finger. So the heat of the heart, which is connected to the element of fire, penetrates into the metal of the lungs. The lungs are associated with the element of metal. So we're softening our, I want to say softening our experience, being very gentle with ourselves as we shift seasonally or as we shift psychologically, emotionally, and as we are asking of ourselves to become more and more resilient, more and more present, more and more able to respond from a heart place, no matter what. Okay, so we're going to take the palms and place them over the heart, lung points for a minute. And just breathe. Then bring your arms forward, fingers together with the thumbs, and then inhale as you come out. And exhale with an S sound as your hands come forward. Shoulders are down and back. Let's again lift that chin right up. So not the chin up this way, but rather pull it back and high. Connect to your sits bones down to the ground and inhale. And again, if you're seated, then you're doing, of course, the same thing and focusing. If you have use of the feet, to feel the focus on the bottoms of the feet. And if you don't, to just stay focused with the tailbone and the sits bones connected to the surface that you're sitting on. And exhale on a so inhale. One more time, breathing in and exhale out. And bring your hands to your heart. So I'd like us to take a moment to ask you, if you were to think of the courage that's if you were to hearten yourself and use the courage of your lungs, hearten yourself, what would you want to apply it to? If using these elements of metal and fire were to feed something for you, feed an intention that you have, and remember that Cobra is all about how we put our intention out in the world. I've talked about that a lot over the last few weeks. What is it that you want to put your intention toward? What is whether it has to do with grief and letting go, or whether it has to do with some other form of courage? Where do you want to put your courage today? What would your intention be? If you would put that in the chat, I'd love to see what you have to say. You don't have to, of course, but what I find is that when we can really focus what the intention is that goes behind the movement, the chi moves more quickly, more freely, and more potently in terms of being able to manifest what we want. So go ahead and put in the chat, what would you want to apply courage to in your life right now? And I'll go ahead and open the chat, and I will read it just because I love it. Getting out the vote, yes. Letting go of old relationships, Roya, yes. You more balanced and grounded from last week? Good, good, Karen, that's great. I'm glad to hear it that you are going to, that you've been standing up for your boundaries. Organizing, letting go. Speaking your truth, Laura, yes. Always a challenge, and always takes courage when we're in any kind of sense of conflict or needing to turn conflict into conversation. Untangle the knots, Suzanne, that's very intriguing. Commitment to working with other folks on ancestral healing regarding white supremacy, racism, patriarchy, Marcia, such a powerful and important focus for those of us who are part of this white supremacist system, which is pretty much everybody, but for white folks to really look at how this is our work to do to heal racism. Annie, connection and community, yes. Hi, Penny, good to see you. Letting go of anger and disappointment, good. And what would you, what would the courage then bring you if you were to let go of your anger and disappointment, if you don't mind adding that? Courage in your relationship with your daughter, boundaries and an open heart, Allison. Powerful, very powerful. That's a wonderful way to apply this. Phyllis, apply courage to putting more of you into all areas of your life. Simbwala, this transition you're in, big transition out of work with the county into a new way of working and not working. Yay! It's exciting. You're in a real big life transition. Maintaining order in your mind and workspace, Harriet. Fantastic. Embodying pleasure and power, Fred. Recognizing what you no longer need and releasing the things you cling to. And I think that question of clinging to is really important. Karen, standing up with kindness and conviction, yet respect for others as well as self. Enables you to feel lighter, less heavy. That's great. And courage would bring you a deeper resolve to live your values in every area. Penny, I know that you're an inspiration to many people. That's a beautiful, beautiful affirmation. So let's go ahead and put the hands back on the heart. All right, so let's circle a few times and just stimulate the heart. We are still in the fire of the heart season. So for those of you who did the Lotus series, we're going to revisit a little bit of that next time. But for right now, let's just go ahead and warm the heart with your hands. And just really hear what you said or what you didn't say. Either what you said, what's behind the words of what you said, or if you didn't offer anything, that's absolutely fine. But just to take a moment to feel the courage that you have. Don't focus on the places you don't have courage. It's very easy to go there. It's very easy to go into the fear place. Let's just see where it is that we could apply courage, or if we could really access that courage, where would we apply it? And then around in the other direction, so a full circle all the way around. Breathing, relaxing your jaw, relaxing the space between your eyebrows. And then stand holding the heart with your hands. And just take a moment to breathe fully, deeply. Make sure that your knees are soft, that your sits bones are connected to your heel, that your tailbone is hanging down. I see that a message just came up, so I'm going to just take a quick look. Oh, to keep learning, Woolston, Catherine Woolston, that's fantastic. Okay, so we're going to just take a moment now to go back to the Wei QI, which we did last week. And this is something that I'm going to encourage you to do this week. Some of you have a yoga practice, some of you have a workout practice, some of you have a qigong practice, whatever your practice might be, or some of you don't have a practice. What I'd like you to do is to, if you would, to incorporate Wei QI maybe 3 times this week if you can. And what I'd like you to do is do what we're doing now. You can always revisit this on the video if you want to. But to focus on that intention that you set. And the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is focus on the space between your shoulder blades and let that intention land there into the cobra. Remember what a cobra with its hood spread, it's really focused, it's ready to go for its target. It's that type of energy that lives here in the backbone of the heart. Okay, so we're going to put that intention that has to do with your courage and where you want to apply courage. Speaking out about injustice anytime I see it, for example, that would be one. And you've all come up with beautiful examples of where you're applying. So we're going to move here, circling, inhaling and exhaling from the heart all the way out through the fingertips and coming all the way around. Now I'd like to combine this with your 6 direction breathing. So can we breathe in all 6 directions, up, down, side, side, front, back, as you inhale. And as you exhale, just let your solar plexus and ribs and belly relax. So as you inhale, we're really stretching the breath, opening up those lungs. And as we're exhaling, it's just a sense of releasing and allowing energy to emanate. And then we're going to make fists with your thumbs on the insides of your fists, right? So this is holding the spirit of this intention and ground it. We do the same thing in one direction, doesn't matter which direction you go to first. If you're seated, this again, just turn in the waist and circling inhale and exhale. If you're standing, please be sure that you're not pulling your hip forward and putting a torque in your knee. Keep those hips on just relatively stationary, moving from the waist up. Exhaling as you come down. So inhaling up and exhaling just again. This is a sense of release and relaxation. You're living in the inside of your own boundaries. And then make fists with your thumbs on the inside. And then turn in the opposite direction, breathing in. And breathing out. And in. And out. One more time, breathing in. And out, and ground. And hands come back to your heart. Close your eyes and take a minute to just picture these 3 circles that you just designed. And just picture yourself at the heart of those circles. So energy is emanating out to you, and out from your center in all of these different directions. I'd like you just to picture it, even if you imagine doing the movement again in your mind's eye, but without actually physically doing it, to feel this field. And as you breathe in the center of these 3 circles that we've just done with our hands, our arms, and our intention, I'd like you to drop your roots down from your feet. And imagine your roots are intermingling with the roots of other trees. So other trees being other living beings, or actual trees, or people in this circle, or people in your own personal circles. The sense of our roots being interconnected and passing information through the roots. Because the roots also have to do with our ancestors, those whose shoulders we stand on. So we want to have a sense of the ancestors connected to one another and connected to us, so that we're having that sense here in that we are all one connection, standing on the shoulders of that understanding of interconnectedness, or again, interbeing. And then I'd like to, just keeping your eyes closed, relax your jaw, relax the space between your eyebrows, and then 6 direction breathing just in itself, forward, back, side, side, up, down. And then let your eyes open, and again, Wei QI, up and out and around. And ground. And we'll add to that the pebble in the lake, right? So we're going to bring the hands together. And remember, this is about boundaries as a way of interconnecting with people. So when we don't have boundaries, we either merge or we have to protect ourselves and make space. So this is about holding our boundaries in a place that we can stay present, connected with others, and yet really clear about our own what we want, what we think, what we believe, what we feel, what we choose to do and not do, all of those things that create that sense of you being who you are. So when you're bringing your hands together for Pebble in the Lake, you want to have a sense here. Remember last week we did the as above, so below. You want to have a sense here that the hands are connected energetically, and you're gathering the essence of your own wholeness here. So the sense of being whole, allowing you to be all of who you are, to be as big as you truly are, and then drop that sense of wholeness down into the lake of your pelvis. So let your pelvis carry this energy as the fingers move forward. And then there's this ripple effect that happens, and we're going to imagine those ripples go back behind you as well as to the sides. And this is where we feel, again, just like in the root system, the sense of interconnectedness, that we're in the center of these ripples, just like being in the center, you drop a pebble into a pond and there's this ripple effect. You're in the center of where those ripples are, and you're allowing yourself to feel the ripples coming from those around you. Maybe those in the circle that is on this Zoom video, maybe circles in your own family or communities, that you feel the sense here that as you do this movement, being in your own center at the same time, you're allowing yourself to be interconnected, even with those that you feel like you need to really stand your ground, where you're feeling like you're really wanting to establish those boundaries and to feel whole. So this is about letting yourself be whole, no matter what's happening, no matter what the challenges are, the ways in which you're being pushed to grow, all of those things. That can all happen, and you're still centered in the center of this ripple effect. So you're sending ripples around you, but not because you're pushing for them, but they simply emanate out of your state of being when you're able to hold your wholeness here between your hands. Drop it into the lake of the pelvis, your power center, and then let it emanate all the way out. Okay, looking good. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And one more time, in and out. And bring it to the lower dantian for a moment. And I'd like to do one of each of the circles we've just done. So we're going to do Wei QI out to the sides first. 6 direction breathing, don't forget. And then ground. One direction or the other on the diagonal. 6 direction breathing, inhale. And exhale out. And ground. Turn into the other direction. 6 direction breathing. Inhale. And out. And ground. And then pebble in the lake. Inhale. Drop into the bowl of the pelvis and let this energy emanate out in lateral circles all the way around you. Bring your hands to your center, your lower dantian. Deep breath. Exhale deep into the bowl of the pelvis, into the lower dantian. Hands to the heart, deep between the shoulder blades and the cobra and the lamb. Exhale, we let the energy settle down into the middle dantian of your heart. Hands come to the crown of the head. Inhale, imagine your head is just expanding a little bit. And exhale, sending chi into your mind's eye here, into your hypothalamus and pineal glands in the head, your upper dantian. So we'll be working more with heaven, human, and earth next time, and a little bit of recap of some of the lotus work. But for now, what I'd like you to do is just bring your hands back to your heart. Take a moment to close your eyes and feel whatever you feel. Notice whatever you notice, and I'd like you to picture those circles going to the 2 sides and the diagonals and the lateral circle of pebble in the lake. Picturing yourself at the center of this image that looks like an atom, how we would draw an atom with these circles, diagonal circles, vertical circle, and horizontal circle. They're in the middle or in the center of this powerful field of who you are, what your energy is. So I'd like you to breathe for a moment into your I amness. And then open your eyes and let your arms out to the sides and radiate out like the sun, or like you're standing on 2 planets and you're glowing. So your arms are going to go out, Soften those knees, connect to the ancestors through your feet, lift your crown, connect to your sense of guidance or perspective through your crown, and then reach out through the tips of the middle fingers, which are your heart fingers, feeling for heart exchange with those around you. And then bring your hands back and let's tap out. As always, I'll stay on for a few minutes afterwards. If you have any questions or feedback or requests, please do let me know. I'll stop the recording, but before we do that, let's go ahead and pat ourselves on the back for getting here today. And then cup your hand a little bit as you pat down your arm. So you're pulling out any remaining stagnant chi that we might not have hit today. Just pull it out with a cupped hand. It's just drawing it out, stimulating blood flow, and also pulling out stagnation. And then chest, up and down your chest. And the same thing on the other arm, cupped hand, and coming up. And then underneath your lymphs here, always very important to stimulate this particular part of the lymph system. And then chest, and then down to your belly. And you're just tapping your belly. And I'd like you to bounce a little bit here, just like you're doing kind of like riding a horse or something. Just let your hands tap. So you're just really stimulating this lower dantian, which is really the center of your power to be able to stay in that heart-centered place that you just created energetically. And then lower back, outsides of the legs, and coming up the insides of the legs, and up, back of your head, back of your neck rather, base of your skull, top of your head, and then we're gonna clap, rub your hands together and come down the front of your body and come up and out, splash yourself with this chi that you just created here in the space that you're in, and let's splash one another through the virtual reality of Zoom. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next week. Feel free to email me with questions or comments or stay on for the Q&A. Until next time, be well and let the chi flow. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Vicki.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Beyond welcome. I'm so glad to see you all. Trying to stop this. There we go.